Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, what's interesting about, I mean, that and actually nearly every other example of industries responding to piracy is it's never that simple. It's never just they're not doing it because they don't want to. The reaction I've had since the book came out was I thought people would be throwing rotten fruit at me at conferences and things. I thought the corporate world wasn't going to be very responsive to this message. I think what really changed things for people in lots of industries was the Radiohead album in 2007, summer 2007. It was not the first time a band had done that by any stretch of the imagination, but it was one of the first times an act with something to lose, a huge act, had done something like that. And it did, people in every industry looked at that, and they're still looking at that, and they're all looking at the music industry. I work with people in large pharmaceutical companies, I work with people at movie studios, I work with all kinds of businesses, and they all think the same thing. They're all looking at the music industry and realizing this problem is coming. And the thing people think is, we don't want this to happen to us. We know we've got to do something, but the thing is, at a big company, it's not as simple as saying we've got to do something, so let's do it. It's the steering the Titanic problem. You've got all these reasons why people don't act. So think about how most companies are run. You've got a CEO and a board at the top who are concerned primarily with the stock price and its short-term fluctuations, and those guys are maybe they're retiring or leaving in 5 years. They've usually got a short window for while they're steering that company. They care about the short-term problems. The problem of piracy for most industries is still a kind of a long-term problem. Even movies like industries like the movie industry, they still make most of their money from selling DVDs through places like Walmart. Yeah, it's very easy to say, yeah, they should just copy iTunes, and I think that they should, and they will at some stage start emulating. They're already emulating what pirates are doing, and they're working with pirate TV and movie sites like Surf the Channel. They've created Hulu, which is doing very well. They are being fairly proactive about this in a comparison with the music industry. But it's not that simple. If Walmart is most of your money, well, you can't piss off Walmart. You can't just say to them, we're going to cannibalize your sales by putting the movie out at $5 when previously it was only at $20 in Walmart DVD. Like they just can't do that. And I understand the guy's position at the movie company who doesn't want to do that if he's going to leave in 5 years' time and he wants to maintain his stock price. He's doing the right thing personally for him. So it's this really complex situation, and which is the problem with large companies or large organisations everywhere. You've got several people involved in decisions with several different motives, and it's not always the right thing for the company or for the industry or for society in the long term. It's a problem of complexity. The other big problem with this debate, especially in the music industry, is it's one of these debates that it just seems unsolvable because you've got really unreasonable extremists on both sides of the debate. It's like the Israel-Palestine conflict. You have two groups of people at either end who are not the majority, who just don't want to solve it. They've just got their opinion, and it's that way or the high road. So in the music industry, you've got the RIAA, and you've got some people who just think that you've got to keep suing fans and that this is a zero tolerance war on piracy. And they're living in a dream world. I mean, that's clear to most people. Most people in the music industry, this is becoming clear to. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got a really unreasonable group of pirates. There's a lot of unreasonable people at that side too, who are like, smash the system, we don't need copyright, we don't need any of this stuff, all large companies are evil, all large people at large companies are evil, the only people in the music industry are Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and Pharrell Williams, they've all got millions, screw them. It's not the case. You've got all these people in these industries, hard-working people who don't earn much money. I started out in the music industry, I know how poor most people in the music industry are. It's not cool, and you've got people creating content, and you've got fans who value their content and actually want to reimburse people. I know from putting my book out there for free and giving people the option of not paying for it, I know how many people value that and value you giving them an opportunity to not pay for it, and then they decide to pay you anyway. You ask them for $5 for the download and they give you 20 because they really like that you just did that. People we've always, throughout human civilization, we've always valued creative people. We've always reimbursed people for creative work. I think we're going to continue to do that. I think most people want to continue to do that. But because this argument's going on, because things like the Pirate Bay trial are happening, which was such a sideshow from the real problem, we're just not going to get there anytime soon. We need collective license systems in the music industry. We need systems that work for artists. The real crime for me in that industry isn't the piracy. It's that some of the most powerful companies in the world have had 10 years to figure out this problem and they haven't. They've cost a generation of artists billions of dollars. I mean, that's inexcusable, I think.
So I hear part of the solution in your mind for the music industry would be collective licenses. Now, of course, you put forth this dilemma. Do you have any other solutions, or was your main goal just to raise the issue?
My main goal was to raise the issue. There's a whole other book full of solutions. There's a pirate solution book out there somewhere. I don't know if I'm going to write it, but somebody should. I mean, even if you look at the way the music industry is working now with bands, it's not like it's not even that every label has a model that each label uses now. They have models that they're using for different acts, you know, because the money is in different places. If you might be Dr. Dre, or you might be Britney Spears, or you might be Blink-182, or you might be Sepultura, it doesn't matter. The money is different, your fans are different, the conversation, the product, the story is different. And this is true of everything. So there's not going to be one solution for the music industry. There's not going to be one solution for the newspaper industry. The solution depends on who you are and the content that you're producing. If you're the New York Times, maybe it's not a good idea to try and only sell your content online, because maybe that just means you're going to become irrelevant. But if you publish financial news that people need right now, and you're a really specialist little firm, yeah, you could probably still sell that because people will really pay for that. But so there's different solutions depending on the content that you produce, and there's a million of them. So this is the hard part with this. It's not obvious. None of this is obvious. We're entering this very different world. The 21st century it's long been said that it's going to be about complexity. Well, now we're starting to see what that means. The other thing that's going on is that some things that happen now, we just don't need for-profit organisations to do those things. I mean, you don't need a for-profit newspaper to support a classified section. You don't need a private company to run a good encyclopedia. You don't need CNN to follow the revolution going on in Iran, or hopefully the revolution going on in Iran, because CNN is following it on Twitter just like you are. So we're seeing crazy stuff happen. I mean, people forget the Industrial Revolution took 100 years. This will probably take a shorter period of time because things are just accelerating, but I mean, we're 10 years into this. It's going to take at least another 50, I think, before we get there. And the problems are going to get worse before they get better too. It's going to be easier to copy stuff before it becomes... I mean, the internet was not the beginning and the end of this. It was the canary in the coal mine. So, yeah, it's going to get easier to copy things, and a lot of industries are going to suffer, but I mean, ultimately I'm optimistic, because if you look at... This problem's always happened throughout our history, throughout the birth of new media formats, or anywhere where disruptive innovation, disruptive technology kind of crashes a business model. It's really easy to break it. The hard part is working out how to make it fair for everybody to operate with the new system, to work out where the money's moved to, how to incentivize everybody, how to make it fair for consumers, how to find the right price, or whether there needs to be a price at the point where there was before. There's a ton of stuff to work out. It hurts my head just thinking about it, but we'll work it out.